Hi, I want to do one last video for the evening. It's something that is very common, yet it surprises me how many people don't use, and that is stencils. And remember, we're still talking about how to prepare papers for collage, but all these methods can be used for all sorts of other things. They can be used for journal pages, they can be used to make pictures, mixed media, all sorts of things. So I'm going to start today by using a stencil that I've purchased through Stencil Girls and a paper that I have already marbled. Now you can do a stencil on plain old paper, you can do it on colored paper. I could rip a page out of that wallpaper book I was showing you earlier, but I'm going to put this stencil, let's see, I think I want it in the upper left corner. And I'm going to tape it down because the worst thing for me is when things move around and get smudged. And that does happen. You know, remember with art that you can't be too sold on something that you're going to be devastated if it doesn't turn out. Sometimes you get happy mistakes, and sometimes you decide you want to start over again. So I'm going to go ahead and do this stencil using black ink. I found that ink is better than paint. Paint tends to run under the edges of the stencil. If you use a very dry brush, you might be very successful in that, but I stick to primarily to ink. So I just have a black ink tablet here that hopefully I can figure out, there we go, how to open. And there are a couple of different ways to do this. I use these little makeup pads. You can use anything you want, really. You know, they make little daubers that you can pay for, and once you get one color on it, you only use it with that color and over again. But see, I'm just sort of dabbing it on, and I want sort of a uniform blackness, so I'm trying to go back over it in places, and then when my black starts getting lighter, and you see, because I taped it down, it is staying in place very nicely. I didn't put any protecting paper underneath this, so I may end up with a little bit of ink on my tabletop. Oh well. Citrusol will take it off. Okay, almost done with this one. The other thing is that ink like this from your stamp pad generally dries really quickly, which is quite nice. Now, as you can see, I'm doing a face. You might say, why would I want to be doing a face? I'm going to take this off right now. For something I'm going to tear up. And maybe you don't want to, or maybe you want to use the eyes as the center of a flower. I mean, there are all sorts of different things you can do. So now you can see my finished product. Okay, and I could rip that up and use the eyes, the nose. I could move it around, rearrange it, lots of different things. Okay, that's one way to do a stencil. Here is a geometric Moroccan pattern, also from Stencil Girl. They're my favorite company for stencils. And I'm going to tape this down, and I'm putting it on top of a piece of sheet music that I marbled. Now remember, I've got all this marbled paper and old art around. If you don't have it, don't worry. You can do this over a page from a book. You can pick wallpaper samples, you know, an old art piece, whatever you like. I'm going to close up this black now. I should have done that earlier. And I'm going to start with red. And I'm going to do this a little bit of a different way. And this is an option. I am just going to pat it down like this. And what this will do is it will give me the impression with, or the color in it, without filling it as solidly as using the other dauber. So it gives a little bit more of a subtle kind of a pattern. Okay, let's call that done. And just for fun, I'm going to try black on the other half, and I'm going to do it the same exact way. Now you can see already that the black is not as deep or as solid as it was when we did it on the other piece. Woo! Okay, let's turn this over. We're going to pull it off. I'm not too excited about this pattern. But just a second, I'll hold it up and show it to you. You know, this is one that I might want to put another pattern over, or I might try different colors. So this is the Moroccan pattern. You see some of it is red, some of it's black, some of it's mixed. If you compare the two, see how much darker the dauber does it than just using the ink pad. Okay, so you are at home and you do not own a stencil, but you think this technique would be fun to try. So the easiest thing to do is to look around your house and see if you have some things that would already make good stencils. For example, white paper doilies. It could be something else that you use in the kitchen that you might dip into ink and press onto your paper. But what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to make my own stencil. You can actually buy regular stencil paper and a stencil burner and all that type of thing. But because we're only going to use this one once, we're just going to use paper. And I'm just going to fold this up in an accordion pattern. Okay, and I'm not very perfect, so this isn't being folded very perfect. So depending on how anal you are, how perfect you want your pattern to turn out, you can take your time folding it. I'm trying to go fast so that you don't have to watch this forever. Okay. You could also do a snowflake design and fold it like you do a snowflake. I mean, there are so many different ways that you could fold it. So here I have my accordion and a pair of scissors, and I'm going for a heart design, and I'm not even going to worry that they're exactly the same shape or the same size. I just want sort of a fun motif going here. Now, if I had made the accordion folds narrower, then I would have gotten, it would have been harder to cut, but I would have gotten more hearts on this. Okay, I think I'm going to do the other side too. So here we go. Now you don't have to do hearts. You could do little squares. You could do squiggly lines. You can do a combination of things. You could write your name on the side and cut it out. The possibilities are endless. Okay, so here I have my new stencil. I'm opening it up, and I have this cute heart design. Some look a little bit more like hearts than others. And I just happen to have an old a railroad schedule here. It's Chicago to San Francisco. And I'm going to put this over it. Once again, I need my tape. Come on. Now this is a little bit trickier simply because I accordion folded it and I really want it to lay down flat. So I'm going to have to put 6 pieces likely here. And I really want you to know that this does not have to be a big time absorbing deal. You can do this quickly and have fun and have a good final product. Okay, this time instead of just sort of hitting it lightly, I'm putting it down and I'm really wiggling it because I wanted a little bit more pigment on there. And I'm not going to do the ones that sort of go off the side. I don't know why, it's just my choice. But I don't want to miss any of these either. I can go back and I can hit the ones that I didn't do before. And by the way, if you're watching any of these videos and you go on and you try some of these, I would absolutely love to have you either send me a picture of what you did or post it on my Facebook post or something, because I love to see what other people are doing. Okay, I'm going to say that's good enough. And once again, I'm going to untape it. Paper's tearing a little bit. You know, this is not a stencil I'm going to use over and over again. Okay, so here's my end product. This could be really fun to tear out hearts and put it on, or strips. I did one early, a practice run, before I did this video, and I actually think this one turned out a little bit better. I was a little bit heavy-handed, but you know, either way you can do something with this. Not necessarily the whole piece, but it might be the whole piece. It could just be one of the hearts. So that's all I have right now for stencils. I'm going to come back in a little bit and talk about embossing. Talk to you later. You should maybe see me. Bye.